You're listening to Radio Looks Listen. I'm your host, Steve Matthews. Thanks for joining me for episode 129. The title of tonight's episode is From the Mailbag. So I got a couple of great articles this week from some of my listeners. I want to have a chance to go over those with you. There's some stuff that I hadn't seen before. So I want to say thanks for sending those on in advance. And we'll take a look at that. But before I do that, I just want to hope everybody's having a great evening tonight. We had... this past week, we had our first snow this past week. Now, I know some of you people in the country. I've got a friend of mine who lives out in the Denver, the Colorado area, and he said they got 2 feet of snow earlier this week, and he wrote me to warn me it's coming my way. Well, we got snow too, but it was like a dusting. It was kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't even an inch. It was a dusting. It did look kind of cool when you looked out the window because I've got some pine trees kind of across the street from me. It kind of gets that effect on the pine trees. It was kind of pretty to look at. But in terms of like a major snowstorm, no, it didn't really amount to a whole lot. We don't usually get those here in Cincinnati, although we do sometimes get it, but not like they do out in Colorado. When they start measuring snow in feet, that's when I want to run away. Don't want anything to do with that. But there are some places that get that stuff on a regular basis, and Colorado is certainly one of those. One of the things I've heard about Colorado, and not having lived out there, I visited out there, but it's been a long time, but not having lived out there, but people will say that you can get, 2 feet of snow one day, and a couple of days later it'll be 80 degrees. I mean, now that's some pretty extreme temperature changes. I did go out there once. Oh, it's probably been, I don't know, 25 years. It's been a while. Visited out in the Colorado Springs area. And I just remember driving up through the Rocky Mountains. And it was in, I want to say, kind of late June-ish. And then, there was still significant snow at some of the higher altitudes, which was really something to see that in the summer. So yeah, they definitely do have substantial snow out in Colorado. I guess that's one of the reasons why it's a great skiing place. Well, the other thing is they have mountains. We don't really have mountains here in Cincinnati, although we do have Mount Rumpke. Rumpke, that's the local trash collectors, and this big landfill. It's not too awfully far from me. That's somewhat affectionately known as Mount Rumpke. It's pretty high. I mean, you can see it from a ways off. I don't know. Maybe one of these days they're making a ski slope. I don't know. I've read about that where there are old landfills have been built up that they've actually turned into ski slopes. So who knows? Maybe that's in the future for Mount Rumpke. Not quite sure it's on the same level with the Rocky Mountains, but hey, we do the best we can here in Ohio. What can I say? Anyway, as I said, I hope you're all having a great week. I'm kind of stoked. Next week, we got a short week next week. I'm going to be off Thursday and Friday, and for Thanksgiving, that's always one of my favorite holidays. Thanksgiving. That's a day when everybody's a Calvinist. It is. It's the most Calvinist of all our holidays. So I think that certainly is something that recommends it. I've always loved Thanksgiving, just the idea of it. The idea that we stop and give thanks to God for the blessings that He's given us in our lives, and that's something that's so easy to miss. But thankfulness is really one of the marks of a Christian, is to be thankful for the many blessings that God does bring into our lives. And sometimes, like I say, it's so easy to take things for granted when they're really not granted. And these are things that they're God's grace. They're His grace to His people, and we should be thankful for those things. And including the material prosperity that we have. It's a great blessing. There's a lot of people in history and even in the world very much today who do not have very much. And as Americans, we have a lot of reasons to be thankful to the Lord for His grace and His compassion on us. So I look forward to that. I do. I look forward to to next Thursday. I was kind of hoping we'd get Wednesday off. Last year, my employer, they were gracious to us, and they actually gave us the Wednesday before Thanksgiving off too. And I kept watching the email. Hope this last week, hoping maybe we get an announcement we'd have a special day off, but we didn't get that. So I guess it's probably not going to happen this year. I would guess we probably would have heard last week if it were. But anyway, I got a 3-day week instead of a 5-day week next week, so I'm kind of pumped about that. Also, too, this past week I started studying for this certification at work. It's a certification for retirement plan administration, which is the kind of work that I do, and it's the top level certification with this organization. It's called a certified plan consultant or a CPC designation, and boy, I took the way it's set up. It's got these modules that you take, and you've got to take 6 modules, and at the end of each module you take a test, and then there's a study guide. Once you get through all of those, it's got like 8 chapters in it, and there's a big final exam that's in the middle of May or so. But I took my first module test today, and boy, that was a nasty exam. I was like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? But I did pass. I did. It was a minimal passing score, but I did pass the test. So I was pretty stoked about that. So at least got that done today. Got that little check in that checkbox. It kind of got me going with the program. As I said, I just started with this thing this week, but it's going to be about a 6-month program. So got a lot going on there, and look forward to bringing that to a successful conclusion this coming spring. So anyway, I mentioned the title of this particular blog post, or not blog post, podcast. Yeah, I guess this is a podcast, not a blog post. And so I titled this particular podcast "From the Mailbag," and the reason I called it that is I had a couple of friends of mine who are also listeners to the program sent me some articles this week, and there's some good stuff, and I wanted to take the time to share that with you. So, tell you what, why don't we dive in and take a look at a couple of these things. So let's do a little screen share here. Bear with me while I get that done. And there we go. Okay. All right. So this first article I got, this is from Carolyn. I say thanks, Carolyn, for saying this to me. I had not seen this article. She asked me, "Had you seen this article?" I said, "I have not seen this, but it's some really interesting stuff." It's put out by Sky News, which is, I believe that is a British news organization. It's from Great Britain, and the title of this particular piece, it's called "The Beast." And so, what's the Beast? Well, the Beast is the name that they've given to this train. I guess it's a freight train that runs south to north of Mexico, and it's a freight train, but it also ends up being a sort of unofficial passenger train as well, where these things will slow down or even stop, and people will hop on, and they're right on top of the cars or inside some of the cars on their way north, and then at some point they get off, and then they illegally cross into the United States. But these trains provide transportation on the way north. I don't think that'd be a very fun way or an enjoyable way to travel, but that's what some people do. So let's see here. Just going to read through a little bit of this. He says, "You hear the train before you see it. The rail tracks rattle and hum. As it approaches, its huge wheels screech and its horn blares. The noise is unbearable. It overwhelms your senses and shakes you to the core." So this is talking about this train. In fact, it's called a little bit dramatically here, "The Train of Death." And I'm not going to read through all of the article. I'm just going to read through a little bit of this here to give you a sense of it. And then we're going to skip to a portion down toward the end. It says, "The horn blares a warning to the vehicles and pedestrians scurrying across dusty crossing points just outside the city of Irapuato in central Mexico. The sheer size of this freight train is so terrifying, I can't imagine how anyone gets used to it. My hands shoot up to protect my ears from the noise. Some call it La Bestia, the beast. To others, it's the train of death because it's dangerous to ride, preyed upon by gangs, and its journey times are unpredictable. Yeah, hop on board the train of death. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like a whole lot of fun. Um, but it goes on. It says, for years, migrants have used it to head north to America, jumping on board and riding on the roof or inside open-topped railway cars known as bolicheros. As the train, which is over a mile long, begins to slow, its headlights illuminate the faces of the men, women, and children gathered by the tracks in the darkness. And so when this train slows down, then these people they will hop on. It says at least 200 people surge forward, dashing helter skelter along the tracks. They don't know if the train will slow down long enough for them to board. A dangerous maneuver that often leads to amputation and death. Yeah. This is one of the things that I think really bears mentioning, and I've talked extensively on this program about the role of the Roman Church state, the Roman Catholic Church, in promoting this type of behavior, and these, and we're going to look a little bit at it, look at some additional statements by officials of the Roman Church state here in a little bit, but the Roman bishops, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Jesuits, the Mexican Conference of Catholic Bishops, Catholic bishops all over the world, all the way up to the Pope himself, the cardinals, they encourage this kind of behavior. They encourage people to take risks that they know full well or should know they're going to wind up in either people being injured or killed, but they encourage them to do it anyway. Let's see here. So here's, in fact, if you can see that, if you're watching the video, it actually shows the route. There's this route. It starts down in Ciudad Hidalgo, which is right down on the Mexico Guatemala border in the south of Mexico, and these tracks go all the way up through the center of Mexico, all the way up to the United States. In fact, it appears like it splits in two at this place called Torreon. Where you've got a branch that branches out to the east, and that goes up to the border with Texas, and then there's the branch to the west, and that actually leads up to Juarez, which is right across the border from El Paso, which I saw in person about 5 years ago. I've got some good friends that live in El Paso. Had the opportunity to visit with them. And one of the things that they cover in this article, and I think it's a good article. I'm going to post the link to this article in the show notes, and I think it'd be good to read through it because there's some good reporting, and these reporters actually spent some time with the migrants and traveling with them, and so they kind of get a firsthand view of what it is that they're dealing with, and how it is that these people get to the United States. And reading through here, it talks especially about this couple. Alejandra is the name of the wife, and it shows her husband here somewhere. His name is Rominger. Rominger. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but Rminger. That's his name, and she's pregnant. So Alejandra is pregnant, and let's see. So you go through this article, and of course, the fact that she's pregnant, that's a bit of a foreshadowing of what you're going to see at the end of the article. So that's what I wanted to show that to you. And there's some people that go through some real difficulties. They have to deal with cartels, and have to deal with Mexican government officials, these sorts of things. And if you go down through this, let's see, we get toward the end of it. It says 4 months later. So this is sometime later. It says, after spending a month documenting stories from the migrant trail, we left Mexico, vowing to stay in touch and follow the fate of the people we'd met. The first sign that things were moving forward for at least one of them was a text message from an unknown American phone number. We are already in Texas, the message read. It was from Vanessa. I think I mentioned Alejandra, but that I think Alejandra, I think that was the name, the alias that she was using. But this Vanessa, she was the woman that was pregnant, that was traveling north with her husband. We're already in Texas. The message read, it was from Vanessa. She and Rominger. So yeah, she was that was this Rominger. That was his wife had crossed the border illegally and handed themselves over to authorities not long after we left them. Vanessa Hughes is her first name now. Gave birth just a few days after arriving in America. She lives in hot and humid Florida with her baby daughter Madison. So she was pregnant on the way up, and she's going to clarify in just a moment here. We're going to get to that she made this trip especially because she was pregnant and she knew the benefits that she was going to get out of this. This was not an accident. She wanted those fabulous cash and prizes. That the friend that sent this to me, that's what she kind of titled it. Said fabulous cash and prizes. That's of course that's what I like to say a lot when you're talking about this showering of gifts that all these illegal aliens get. You know, we have this weird sort of thing in the United States where we have government officials say, "Don't come to the United States illegally. Don't do this. Oh, don't do it. Be sure not to do this. Oh, but when you get here, we're going to shower you with fabulous cash and prizes." And then people wonder, well, what are the root cause of the millions of people who are coming here? What's the root cause of this? Yeah, this is that good old Kamala. She was always and ever looking for the root causes of migration. Well, I mean, when you shower people with fabulous cash and prizes, here's a pro tip: that could very well be at least one of the root causes. Just maybe. I know it's kind of silly to think that, but I'm just saying there's a slight possibility that when you reward people for doing something, that more people tend to do it. You know, I mean, is that crazy? Am I crazy for thinking that? I'm going to say probably not. So this Vanessa, she gave birth just a few days after arriving in America. So she hit the buzzer beater, so to speak. If you follow basketball, that's where you get a score a point right at the end of right before the buzzer sounds and win the game. Well, I guess she got over the border just in time. She timed that really well. Now look at the comment she made here. It says, born in the U.S., Madison now has American citizenship. So see her baby girl. She was born in the United States. Bingo, instant American citizen. This is the kind of stuff that has got to change. This is an insane situation. It is an evil situation that we have allowed to grow up in American law, where American citizenship is treated as garbage. It's treated as nothing. Vanessa is also entitled to stay, at least until her daughter is 18 years old. Entitled to stay, excuse me. Vanessa is also entitled to stay. So this is why they use the term anchor baby. So this woman, she sneaks in the United States illegally, gives birth to an American citizen daughter, and now she's entitled to stay. And listen to what Vanessa says here. Quote, when I had my baby, I was treated like royalty. End quote, she recalls. Quote, they were so attentive to me and my girl, end quote. So again, fabulous cash and prizes. And let's read on through here. Since arriving in the U.S., Vanessa has split with Rominger. So I don't know. It says that she split with him. So I don't know. I guess did she ditch him? I mean, is that what that says here? I guess she used him to get up here, and I guess for some protection or something. And I guess as soon as she got to the United States, dumped the guy. I mean, is that what went on? I mean, it almost sounds like it. I don't know for sure, but it kind of seems to be presented that way. You know, she split. Doesn't say Rominger split with her. It says she split. She describes the journey to the border as a nightmare, but is happy with her new life. Quote, coming to the U.S. was a childhood dream, she says. Quote, I got pregnant and said, this is my moment. Let's stop right there. I got pregnant and said, this is my moment. Now I'm here with my daughter, and she is my driving force to continue fighting. Now, you very often will hear these apologists for illegal immigration say, oh, this birthright citizenship for illegal alien children, it does not attract people. They come here to work. Well, I mean, maybe some people come here to work. I'm not saying that, but they also come here to be showered with fabulous cash and prizes from the American welfare state. which are paid for by you and by me. I mean, at least if you're an American citizen, you live here in the United States, you pay taxes here, you're paying for this stuff. And so am I. We're all paying for it. This has got to stop. This is theft. I mean, our government is robbing money, is robbing the American people, and giving their substance to foreigners. Our government's doing this. I mean, we're second-class citizens in our own country. We're being forced to support this nonsense. And it continues here. Vanessa's is exactly the kind of story that inspires others to head to America. Yes, it does. That's exactly right. And why wouldn't it? I mean, if you can get pregnant, you can hop on a train. Yeah, maybe it's miserable for a few weeks or months. I don't know, however long it takes to get here. But yeah, it's exactly the kind of story that inspires and others to head to America so they can cash in and be soured with fabulous cash and prizes. I mean, here's something that was interesting too, and I didn't mention this, but back up at the top where it's 4 months later, these Sky News reporters say that the first sign that things are moving forward for at least one of them was a text message from an unknown American phone number. So apparently Vanessa got a phone. Now, where did she get that phone? She came up from, was it Venezuela? I think it was. I think that's where she originally came from. I could be wrong about that. I'd have to go back and look in the article, but it was from a South American country. So where'd you get this phone number, this American cell phone? She's texting, so it's got to be a cell phone. I guess apparently that's something else that you and I are paying for. I certainly don't think she would have the means to do that. I'm sure that the American taxpayer is paying for this woman's cell phone. And I think maybe it's worth mentioning here when we talk about some of these illegal aliens, such as this Vanessa person. I'm not happy with what they do. I mean, what she and what millions of others have done is engage in illegal behavior. I mean, they broke American law by coming into the country illegally. I mean, you see these headlines out there that will say, law-abiding, mother of, 4 children is returned to Mexico. I mean, I think I detailed there was a case here locally in the Cincinnati area back in 2017 where some woman that had been in the country 15 years illegally, had exhausted all of her illegal appeals. She finally got deported. And you'd see these headlines, law-abiding mother of 4 with children with special needs is deported to Mexico. Oh, whoa, isn't this horrible? And we're all supposed to weep and wail and rend our clothes and don, sackcloth and ashes or something over this. Well, but they call her law-abiding. Well, she broke American law when she came to the country, just as this woman did. But one thing I do want to say about this is, the sins of these people. There are those that have much greater sins, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that is the people who encourage this stuff, who attempt to justify this stuff. And I'm speaking about people such as the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. And we're going to take a look at a letter that some bishops in Iowa wrote earlier this week. People like that, the Pope, all of these officials, these people who work for Catholic charities. Sister Norma Pimentel, who's the executive director of the Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. She's a really bad actor. Other organizations like the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. The Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society is another one of these NGOs. If you watch, if you've ever seen Fox News, or maybe you watch some of these other mainstream news organizations, and they talk about all these NGOs that are facilitating the migrant invasion of the United States. Well, what's an NGO? I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know what an NGO is. An NGO just stands for non-governmental organization. And NGOs essentially, think of them as large charities. Well, probably the 2 most prominent NGOs that are working to subvert America's borders, subvert the United States to illegal immigration, Catholic Charities and the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. There are other organizations as well, but those are the 2 biggest. You might be interested to know this. I believe I've mentioned this elsewhere, but it bears mention because it's almost never talked about in the mainstream. Alejandro Mayorkas, who was one of the chief architects of the recent illegal alien invasion of the United States over the past 4 years, he himself is Jewish, and he was, and before he took his job, in fact, the job, I mean, right now he's been Biden's secretary of what the Department of the what Department of Homeland Security. Um, Prior to taking his job in the Biden regime, he was on the board of the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which again is one of the largest, most effective organizations facilitating the migrant invasion of the United States of America. HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, along with Catholic Charities. And I spent a lot more time talking about Catholic Charities, and I probably should spend more time talking about the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, because that is also a very major organization facilitating the current border invasion of the United States. And Alejandro Mayorkas is quite an evil man. It's kind of interesting with him. He went to law school. He got a law degree from Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. So he got his law degree from the Jesuits. So he's got this Jesuit connections, but he also has significant connections, Jewish connections as well. And let's see. Let's go through here. So Vanessa is exactly the kind of story that inspires others to head to America. The big thing that has changed since we were on the migrant trail is the election of Donald Trump as the next U.S. president. So this article was written, when was this? I don't scroll all the way up to the top. It's kind of long. But I think it was written, it was written shortly after Trump's election earlier this month. He made clear while campaigning and his comments since that tackling the immigration crisis would be an issue he addresses from day one of his presidency. For the many thousands who have yet to cross into the U.S. legally or illegally, it is now a desperate rush to the border before in their minds, time runs out. So they're trying to, like I say, they're all trying to hit a buzzer beater, get in under the wire, get while the getting's good, that kind of thing. So anyway, as I said, Carolyn, thanks for sending that particular piece. It was very enlightening, and it really does expose. I mean, you shouldn't even need to really expose this, but actually you do, because like I say, there's people out there that want to say this birthright citizenship, it does not encourage illegal immigration. Yes, it does. Even if you know just a little bit about human nature and about economics. When you incentivize something, more people are going to do it. When you say to somebody, don't break our laws, but on the other hand, if you successfully break our laws, we're going to shower you with fabulous cash and prizes. Guess what? More people are going to break our immigration laws. That's what's going to happen. And when you stop doing that, when you stop subsidizing this behavior, you're going to get less of it. And that leads me to something I wanted to mention here. I thought that I'd save this article. Did I not save this article? Let's just take a look here. Well, I got lots of articles, but they're not the articles I want. This is not the article you're looking for. And I think it's some Star Wars, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's see. Maybe this is it. No. Why is it doing that? Well, there's an article that I found. I thought that I saved it properly, but maybe I didn't. But there was an article that it actually has Donald Trump. It was a post. Let's see if it'll play. Why won't it do that? That's too bad, because it was an article. What it was a post that I found on X, and the piece, it was actually a short video of Donald Trump. It was about, I don't know, 20 seconds or so long, something like that, and it showed Donald Trump just talking about how he's going to challenge the idea of birthright citizenship. Now, let me see if I can find that here. Oh, that's not it. This is why I always try to get these things set up in advance, because if you don't do that, then you can't ever find it when you want to. I thought, it's like I've learned how to save some of this stuff, and I thought that I did save it in a way that was going to be easily findable, but now it's decided to be difficult. I hate it when things decide to be difficult. Now, let's see what we got here. That's not it. That's not it. I don't know. I'm going to try to find this thing because I want to share this with you, because I think it's something that's important. But I just got to get back to when it was originally posted, which I think was on November the 7th. We're getting close here. Some crazy stuff out there on X. But there's some good stuff too. And I do appreciate the fact that Elon Musk has opened up X. It's much better than it was under their Twitter days. Although, I still don't like the name X. I like Twitter better. I wish they'd go back to Twitter, honestly. Let's see here. I think we're getting pretty close. That's not it, but I think it's up there on the same day. Okay, yeah, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play this. It's about a 26-second clip. So there you go. So Donald Trump says that on day one of his presidency, he's going to sign an executive order that puts an end to birthright citizenship. In other words, the kind of stuff that this woman named Vanessa in the article that we just saw, the kind of stuff that she did, where she was able to uh, have a baby in the United States and have her daughter be declared an American citizen, and see what happens. And it didn't, in the article, didn't say this, but it bears mentioning, when that child, when that infant is born as an American, what ends up happening is, even though the illegal alien is not eligible, the illegal alien parent is not eligible for welfare, the child is, and the parent can request welfare on behalf of the child. So that's what she's going to do. And that's probably how she got the telephone, or at least one of the ways she may have gotten that telephone. So, in other words, again, if you're an American citizen, you're paying for this stuff. All right. So here we go. I'm going to make sure I get that thing categorized. Got this program that I use called Evernote. It's actually quite good. I could not possibly do a podcast or write my blog articles if I didn't have Evernote, because that's where I save so much of my stuff. So much of the research that you do is online. It's amazing what you can get online. There's lots of, once you learn where to go, you can find some really good stuff. And in some ways, I think it's really kind of a golden age of journalism. I mean, I know the mainstream media is really terrible, but there's a lot of really smart, dedicated, hardworking, honest people out there who really are putting out truthful pieces. And it's wonderful to be able to go into to read their work, to see their work, and to also incorporate some of that into my own work. So I mean, there's a lot of bad. The internet is a technology. Okay, it's neither good nor bad. It's a technology. It's how you use it. And there's some wonderful opportunities to be able to share truth with people. And that's one of the things that I find so exciting about doing things like doing the podcast, doing the videos, doing the blog pieces. So keeps me going with this. So anyway, okay. So enough of that article. What I want to do now is I wanted to turn to another piece. Now, this is an article sent to me by my good friend Michael. So, Michael, thank you for sending this. And this particular article, it's called "A Letter to Our Migrant Brothers and Sisters." It's dated November 19th, 2024. And this article, this is a letter. It's written by the Iowa bishops, right to our immigrant brothers and sisters. So these four guys, I guess they're the big shot Catholic bishops in Iowa. They're big in Iowa. I think there was a band that had that name. I don't know, about 25 years back or so. They call themselves Big in Iowa. So I guess these guys are big in Iowa. And anyway, let's see, it goes on. It says, to our dear migrant brothers and sisters in Christ, we write to you with hearts full of compassion and a deep desire to express our solidarity with you during this stressful time. We recognize the immense challenges you face as migrants, and we want to assure you that you are not alone. As your bishops, we will advocate for your just treatment and dignity within the framework of the law. Okay, let's pause right there. One thing that the bishops don't do, one thing they do is these guys are politicians. You know, if they weren't Catholic bishops, I'm sure they'd be running for mayors and congressmen and judges or dog catcher or whatever. I'm sure they would be very good at getting elected because these guys are politicians. And they talk about we'll do whatever we can within the law. Well, no, I mean the law is really not a barrier to you guys. When you're talking about the Roman Church state here, no, the law is not a barrier to them. It really isn't. And the thing is, they know they can violate the law, and they're not going to ever be called to account. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has tried to call some of these organizations, these Roman Catholic organizations in Texas, to account, and he keeps getting thwarted at every turn. And I think what's happening, he's probably running into Roman Catholic judges. I suspect very strongly probably the judges that he's dealing with are Roman Catholic. And so they always rule in favor of Holy Mother Kirk. And so he's got kind of a tough row to hoe there in Texas, even though he's at least trying to do the right thing. And I do appreciate the fact that he has put the focus on some of these Roman Catholic organizations. One of them is called Annunciation House in El Paso, Texas. I haven't looked at that case for a while. I have to go back and look to see if there's been any new developments. But these bishops, so yeah, they claim that they want to they work within the law, but no, they don't. I mean, the Roman Catholic Church has absolutely no respect for American law. They subvert it continually if it's in their interest. But they're politic enough; they're not going to come out and say it. I mean, butter wouldn't melt in these guys' mouths. Let's see here. So, and it goes on. Our Holy Father, Pope Francis. Okay, stop here again. There's one Holy Father, and he's not in Rome, and it's not Francis. It's the Lord God Almighty. He's our Holy Father, not this impostor. I mean, this is blasphemy, and this stuff just freely flows out of their mouth. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of blasphemies that these guys they don't stop speaking this stuff. So, our quote, Holy Father Pope Francis has been a tireless advocate for those who find themselves in situations like yours. Well, these people don't find themselves in a situation. What they did, I mean, look at that example of the article we just read about the people on the train. They didn't just find themselves in that situation. They deliberately went and did this. They worked hard to position themselves to hop on a train and ride. No, they didn't just find themselves on a train. It's not like they just woke up one day and randomly found themselves on the train. How do we get here? No, that's not how that worked. They put themselves there. They didn't find themselves in this situation. Again, this is just nonsense. And let's say they find themselves in situations reminding us constantly of your inherent dignity and our responsibility to welcome you. So whose responsibility exactly is this? Who is the our in this case? Well, again, these guys, these bishops, I mean, they're very coy in what they say. They're very politic in what they say. What they mean is you and me, the American people. I mean, you don't think they're going to pay for this stuff, do you? Heavens no. In fact, they make money off of it. The Roman Catholic Church does. This is a racket for these guys. But they quote the Antichrist Pope Francis, quote, migrants and refugees are not pawns in the chessboard of humanity. Well, that's exactly what the Roman Catholic Church does with them. The Roman Catholic Church uses these migrants and refugees as pawns in order to advance their irredentist immigration assault on the United States of America. Irredentism is Jesuit immigration warfare. It's where they use immigrants, migrants, refugees. They get them in any way they can. They keep them in the country, and they hope to legalize them. And then they hope to so they can vote for all of the policies of the Roman Catholic Church, as well as subvert American society. It's replacement migration. You're not supposed to say that. That's a conspiracy theory. Well, this is replacement migration, and the thing is, they want you to fund it. I mean, if you're an American citizen, they want you to fund your own displacement. I mean, that's some seriously evil genius right there. I mean, I almost have to tip my cap to that if I had a cap on. I mean, you guys, when it comes to doing evil, you guys are world class. I mean, you really are. You show yourselves to be Antichrist. They are. I mean, this is part of the Antichrist Roman Catholic Church system. So yes, these migrants are the chessboards of the papal Antichrist. They are children and women and men who are forced to leave their homes for various reasons. No, they came. I mean, listen to what that Vanessa said. Did it say that she was forced to come? She said it was her dream to come. Let's go back and take a look at that. Yeah, she was very happy. She was treated like royalty, she said. Coming to the U.S. was a childhood dream. Doesn't say anywhere in here about her being forced. She said she got pregnant and said, bam, this is my moment. Nobody forced her to do this. She didn't find herself in this position. She deliberately made this choice to illegally enter the United States and have a child at the expense of the American taxpayer, and then get welfare for that child for the next 18 years, and I'm sure much longer than that. Coming to this was a childhood dream. I got pregnant and said, this is my moment. So she's ready to go for it. And she did. She went for it. Now I'm here with my daughter, and she's my driving force to continue fighting, which no doubt she will. So let's see. Going back to the Iowa bishops, they continue quoting from Pope Francis. Pope Francis has also reminded us, quote, God not only walks with his people, but he's also within them. In this, we see an extension of the mystery of the incarnation. For this reason, the encounter, these bishops always write about mysteries. They use the term mystery in an unbiblical fashion. When you read the scriptures, when you read the New Testament, the term mystery, whenever you see that, it's a secret that was hidden, but's now revealed. But they try to make it like this mysterious, impenetrable, inexpressible, unexplainable idea or something. No, it's that's not what a New Testament mystery is. Not at all. But let's see, they continue quoting Pope Francis. In this, we see an extension of the mystery of the incarnation. For this reason, the encounter with those who are migrant, as with every brother or sister in need, is also an encounter with Christ. He himself said so. Okay, now this is one of the most offensive things to me. Probably the most offensive thing in this whole article. This idea that somehow that every encounter with a migrant is an encounter with Christ. Well, there was a thing this week. In fact, my friend sent this to me on the same day that the trial of that guy, Jose Ibarra. He was the one that killed, that brutally murdered Laken Riley. You may recall last year, Laken Riley, she was a Georgia nursing student. She was a Christian woman. She was a young Christian woman. There's tons of evidence she was a Christian. She was murdered by this guy, this illegal alien, Jose Ibarra, who should never have been in the United States of America. He had no business being here. He violently murdered her. And I don't know. I mean, it said that Laken Riley fought this guy for like 17 minutes, I think they said. And before she finally succumbed, she succumbed to his attacks. And I wonder if during that whole 17 minutes, was she's thinking, why? This is an encounter with Christ himself. I mean, let's take the Pope at his word. I mean, the Pope says that every one of these encounters with these illegal aliens is an encounter with Christ himself. So I guess that was an encounter with Christ himself. Was that an encounter with Jesus Christ? Getting assaulted, getting killed in a very brutal fashion. Was that an encounter with Christ? I don't think so. I don't think so. But the Antichrist Pope thinks so. Yeah, and this is one of the ways you can tell that the Roman Catholic Church is Antichrist, because of these just incredible lies. I mean, these things, I mean, these are whoppers on a level that, I think, what was that, Joseph Goebbels or something? He talked about the big lie. But these people, they just come up with these incredible lies, astounding lies. The lies. I mean, I can't believe that somebody would actually would say these kinds of things. And of course, this is the Pope that's being quoted, but it's in a letter from these Iowa bishops, so obviously they approve of this stuff too. The encounter with these migrants, as with every brother and sister in need, is also an encounter with Christ. That's what the Iowa bishops think. So the next time you find yourself being assaulted by an illegal alien, just remember, hey, that's an encounter with Christ, according to the Iowa bishops and the Pope. But you're not supposed to complain about any of that. Your job is supposed to just take your beating and keep going. Now, let's see. They continue here. Sacred Scripture provides us with countless examples of God's love for the stranger and the sojourner. These words remind us that we're all pilgrims on the earth. We all stand before Jesus at our final judgment. Yeah, we do stand before Jesus at our final judgment. And unless these four guys repent of their multitudinous sins, their lies and their blasphemies, it is not going to go well for them. Now, perhaps the Lord will be merciful to these men and bring them to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. I hope that happens for them. I hope they do repent. But if they don't, things are not going to go well for them. And they go on to say, and that we'll be held accountable for how we have treated others. Yes, that's right. And these men have treated the American people horribly. You notice they're not writing any letters of compassion about the murder of Laken Riley or the many, many, many other Americans who've been harmed or killed by illegal aliens. They don't mention them at all. They count as nothing in their eyes. But yeah, they will, they just see, all they do is they see the American people as simply basically, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Basically mules to fund their globalism. Yeah, they see you and me simply as just a source of funds. Our job is just to take our beating and sit down and shut up in their minds. And these men are going to find out someday, they're going to have to stand before the judgment seat of Christ. And unless they repent of this kind of thinking, this will not go well for them. They will be accountable to Jesus Christ. And, he might just ask me, how is it, that you kept advocating policies that killed people? Why did you do this? Why did you advocate theft? Why did you do this? And I don't think they're going to have a very good answer. And here's the other thing. I mean, ever since Trump won the election, I mean, you've just seen just this outpouring of just all this emotional, just rubbish from various Roman Catholic sources. Here's the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. And they write something: dear brothers and sisters, compelled by the gospel of Jesus Christ and recognizing the inherent dignity of each person as a child of God, we stand in firm solidarity with our immigrant brothers and sisters who live and labor in these United States. Notice once again, they never talk about staying in firm solidarity with the American people, do they? Oh no, it's all staying in solidarity with people who don't have any business being in the United States. But these people are useful tools in advancing the cause of the Antichrist Roman Catholic Church state. They're very useful for that. And as a result, these these bishops stand in solidarity with them. And you can find just article after article after article from Roman Catholic sources. One thing I wanted to show you here. Um, let's see. Yeah, this is a feed that sometimes I follow. This is an organization called Justice for Immigrants, and it's actually run by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. You can even see that in their X handle here. It's at USCCB JFI. So that's United States Conference of Catholic Bishops Justice for Immigrants. That's what that stands for. But when you read, I'm not going to go into any of these articles, but just wanted to touch on these briefly. These are various things they've posted. Here's an article that says, Trump's threats of mass deportation lead to hard discussions for families. And it gives expands on it a bit here. It says, Angel Reyes Rivas and his wife have been having hard conversations about what to do if one of them gets deported. They're undocumented. That is, they're illegally in the country. They're illegal aliens. They're illegal aliens, but their children are not. So apparently these are some other more illegal aliens snuck into the country, had kids on American soil. The kids are American citizens. I don't think they really have anything to worry about because it's going to be impossible to deport them, or very difficult. Here's another one. These are clear signs that the president-elect intends to carry out some of the worst campaign promises, including mass deportation. Well, that's actually one of the best promises. Yes, there needs to be mass deportation. You had mass importation of people who should never have been brought into the country, and they need to be massively deported. That's from America Magazine. That's the Jesuits. A big surprise there. Let's see. Here's another one. Archbishop Timothy Broglio of the U.S. Archdiocese for the Military Services said church leaders will remain mindful of the gospel imperative to care for the hungry, thirsty, naked, homeless, stranger, and sick. Well, I'll tell you this much. There's no gospel imperative to steal from the American people. That's a violation of the eighth commandment. And that's something that these bishops just continually try to lie to people about, as though somehow government charity is the same thing. Government welfare is the same thing as Christian charity. They are not. Christian charity is giving of your own things. When the government welfare is theft, and that's exactly what these bishops continually push. They continually push theft. Here's another article. Bishops stress their support for migrants at the start of annual meeting in Baltimore. Let's see. Is there anything else in here? So opening doors at Advent and all year long, how JRS USA responds to the plight of refugees. Oh, well, that's the Jesuits. Let's see, what is this? Okay, Jesuit Refugee Services. Yeah. So those are the Jesuits. Again, this is being posted out here by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. And here's another one. Crops rotting as workers vanish to avoid crackdown. Yeah, I mean, it's, if you didn't have all these illegal aliens, crops are going to rot in the field. That's one of the oldest ploys in the book too. The rotting crops. And you can go on through. I just wanted to share, just like I say, go through here briefly because there's just this flood of these stories like this from the Roman Catholic Church state. Donald Trump's a very bad man, and all the illegal aliens are awesome. And if you're an American, you just need to shut up and fork over your money. That's the message from Antichrist, and this is what they've been saying for years. Yeah, here's I guess one final one. Oh, here's good old Timothy Seitz. Following Trump's election, El Paso bishops expresses concern for migrants. Again, notice there's no concern for the American people. It's concern for migrants. This guy couldn't care. If you're an American citizen, this guy could not care less about you. In fact, he hates you. I mean, it's just astonishing to me, this kind of stuff that goes on. Now, anyway, I had some other stuff here tonight, but I'm not going to get to it. I think that's probably a pretty good place to end it. One of the things you talk about being thankful, I get frustrated with Donald Trump sometimes. Some stuff he's done that I don't agree with. I mean, a lot of the people he's brought into his cabinet are these war hawks, or these Israel firsters, people who do not have this country's best interest at heart, and he should be criticized for that. But he has done at least some good work, or I think potentially has done some good work on the immigration front, and I'm thankful for that, because if Jesuit Joe Biden had gotten back in office, or if Kamala Harris had gotten back in office, they'd have opened the floodgates even wider than they are now. And people like this Mark Seitz and the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, these people be running wild. I mean, you would see a flood of aliens like you've never seen before. You think the last 4 years has been bad? I guarantee you the next 4 years under Kamala Harris would have been much worse. So anyway, I am thankful that at least that particular evil appears to have been defeated for now. And it's a big setback for Mark Seitz, and I'm sure he's not happy about it. And I'm sure the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops isn't happy about it. And I'm sure the Justice for Immigrants people aren't happy about it. And I'm sure all the immigration lawyers at Clinic, which is the Catholic Legal Something Network, all the immigration lawyers at Clinic that are trying to subvert the United States. I'm sure they're not happy about it either. But you know what? That's just too bad. You guys lost, and I'm happy for that. Bad guys got knocked down a peg, so that's a good thing, and I am thankful. That's one of the things I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving is the defeat of their evil counsel. That's a good thing. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that, and I hope I get a chance to do a program on Wednesday. It's kind of my plan here, just see how things go. But hopefully, I'll have another podcast for you on Wednesday. Until that time, I wish you a blessed Lord's Day tomorrow, and may the Spirit of truth guide you in all truth as you read and study God's Word. Good night.